القادم برئاسة المجلس البلدي بمدينة بيروت.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's top stories. Thousands of voters from Beirut, the Bekaa and Baalbek Hermel governorates head to polling stations to cast their ballots in local elections, the first polls to be held on time in the country since 2010. The Bekaa Valley and Baalbek Hermel districts witnessed heated battles between rival parties running for local elections. 3 people are reported injured. 8 policemen are shot dead on Cairo's southern outskirts in an attack claimed by ISIS, one of its deadliest in mainland Egypt. Officials taking part in today's municipal and Mukhtar elections hailed the vote as a victory for democracy and called on all citizens to cast their ballots. Thousands of voters from Beirut, the Bekaa and Baalbek Hermel governorates headed to polling stations to cast their ballots in local elections, the first polls to be held on time in the country since 2010. Jamal Aitani, who heads the Beirutis list, supported by the Future movement, its allies and even rivals such as the Free Patriotic Movement, told reporters that his main role if elected mayor would be to revive Beirut and create jobs for its residents. Head of the citizens within its state list, former Minister Sharb el-Nahas, took part in the voting at a school in Beirut's Ashrafi district. Meanwhile, Tariq Ammar, who is running as deputy head of the Beiruti Madinati list, called on people to vote for change. The secular citizens within a state and Beirut Madinati groups are seeking to challenge mainstream parties' traditional dominance in local elections. Former Prime Minister Saad Hariri has expressed relief that Hezbollah chose to sit out the municipal elections in Beirut. He told reporters from the Shakib Arslan School in Beirut's Verdun area, where he submitted his ballot, that Hezbollah's absence from the elections in the capital was an additional positive thing for Beirut. The Future movement leader said today is a democratic day par excellence. People should vote freely and in a democratic manner. He added that he voted for the Beirutis list as it is, saying it includes all qualifications and necessary components. Hariri also expressed hope that the current polls will pave way for presidential and parliamentary elections. Prime Minister Tamam Slam told reporters that his vote went to those who are carrying the concerns of the capital. After casting his vote, Salam said this is a national moment where democratic practices prevail and allow the Lebanese and Beirutis to raise their voices for the welfare of the capital and the state. He underlined that the staging of the elections itself is proof that the state is still present. Salam also said he hoped the polls will pave way to revive the political life in the country. The Prime Minister praised Interior Minister Nuhad al-Mashnouk and his team for their preparations for the elections. For his part, the Interior Minister said the municipal elections process was going well in Beirut and the Bekaa governorate, despite the recent clashes in Zahle, and voiced hope that these elections will pave way for the election of a president. After touring some polling stations in the capital, Mashnouk said today is one step forward, but the real ceremony is when a president is elected. He urged for a good turnout and voiced calls on the citizens to vote in favor of the list they believed in. The Bekaa Valley and Baalbek Hermel districts witnessed heated battles between rival parties running for local elections, with 3 people being treated at hospitals after scuffles broke out in Zahle. TV footage showed a scuffle at a polling station in Zahle between supporters of the Lebanese forces, people who back the Fatouche list, and the supporters of the Scaf family's popular bloc over the vote-buying allegations. A similar incident occurred at an office of the popular bloc after LF supporters reportedly stormed into it. Popular bloc head Miriam Scaf told reporters she was still waiting for the Lebanese forces to explain what happened. 3 lists are competing in Zahle. One is headed by Scaf, the party's list made up of mainstream Christian groups, and a list backed by MP Nicolas Fatouche. The party's list comprises the Lebanese forces, the Free Patriotic Movement, and the Kataib Party. Fatouche's list is headed by his brother Moussa. UN Special Coordinator for Lebanon, Sigrid Kaag, welcomed the municipal elections, saying she was glad to see the Lebanese voting this morning. Kag, who toured the polling stations in Beirut, commended the successful preparation and organization by the Ministry of Interior and municipalities and the provision of security by the Lebanese armed forces and other security forces. A statement released by her office added that she expressed her hope that the municipal elections will be a stepping stone towards national elections scheduled to take place next year. She also reiterated the importance of having women included on the ballot papers. Syrian warplanes attacked Islamist militants near the northern city of Aleppo as the government tried to push back a major insurgent advance in the area. Dozens of airstrikes hit near the town of Khan Tuman, which rebels took from forces loyal to the government and its ally Iran late on Thursday. Aleppo has been divided into government and rebel-held zones throughout much of the conflict. The surrounding region is also crossed by valuable supply routes into neighboring Turkey. Syria's army said it had hit terrorist groups hard earlier today, but did not give details of any territorial gains. And Manar television said heavy fighting was ongoing against the hardline Sunni Muslim rebels. 3 Spanish freelance journalists who went missing in Syria last year and were believed to have been kidnapped have arrived in Spain this morning, a day after the Spanish government said they had been released. The 3 men, Antonio Pampliega, José Manuel López and Ángel Sastre, went missing last July while they were working on an investigative report in the northern city of Aleppo, where other journalists have been captured in the past. The men were taken to Turkey after the release, but no details were immediately available on how they were released. Reports, however, say that Qatar helped in the process of the release. The massive wildfire in Canada is likely to burn for months. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching the English newscast. 8 policemen were shot dead on Cairo's southern outskirts in an attack claimed by ISIS, one of its deadliest in mainland Egypt. The Interior Ministry said 4 assailants in a truck intercepted a van carrying the policemen in the district of Helwan, just south of Cairo, and sprayed them with automatic rifle fire. It said those killed in the shooting overnight included a lieutenant and 7 lower-ranking policemen who had been on patrol in plain clothing. In a statement circulated on social media, ISIS said a squad of the soldiers of the Caliphate opened fire on the police van and then made off with their weapons. It said the attack was carried out in retaliation for women imprisoned in Egyptian jails. A Saudi soldier has died in a gun battle with militants in the western Taif region outside Mecca. State news agency SPA said 2 assailants opened fire on a police station before retreating to the mountain village of Taqif, where the soldier named as Private Saeed al-Harithi was killed in an exchange of fire. Troops found an explosive vest and bomb-making material in the security operation was reportedly ongoing. Saudi forces have been caught up in an escalating confrontation with ISIS militants in the last week after troops shot dead 2 ISIS fighters and 2 others blew themselves up in a raid on their compound outside the holy city of Mecca on Thursday. 2 other ISIS suspects were killed and a 3rd was wounded in southwestern Bisha province this morning. Moving on to Europe, thousands of protesters took to the streets of Athens as Greece's parliament prepared to vote on a controversial tax and pensions overhaul, which has sparked mass opposition. Police said almost 15,000 people turned out to march in Athens and the second city of Thessaloniki against the measures demanded by the EU and IMF that the government is seeking to adopt ahead of a crunch meeting of Eurozone creditors in Brussels on Monday. The reforms to be voted on later today will reduce Greece's highest pension payouts, merge several pension funds, increase contributions, and raise taxes for those on medium and high incomes. And across the Atlantic, Canadian officials say they expect the massive wildfire that has destroyed large parts of Alberta's oil sands to continue burning for months. The Alberta government said the massive blaze in the province will cover more than 2,000 square kilometers by the end of today and will continue to grow because of high temperatures, dry conditions, and high winds. Chad Morrison, Alberta's manager of wildfire prevention, said it was not uncommon to fight such an inferno in forested areas for months. There's fear the growing The growing wildfire could double in size and reach a major oil sand mines and even the neighboring province of Saskatchewan. No deaths or injuries have been reported so far since the fire started a week ago, but thousands of people have been made homeless. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says his country will not use nuclear weapons unless its sovereignty is infringed on by others. Kim spoke in Pyongyang on Saturday to thousands of delegates gathered for the first Workers' Party Congress in more than 35 years. The KCNA news agency quoted him as saying North Korea may be willing to normalize ties with states that has been hostile towards it, generally understood to mean the U.S. and South Korea. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a recap of our top stories. Thousands of voters from Beirut, the Bekaa and Baalbek Carmel governorates head to polling stations to cast their ballots in local elections, the first polls to be held on time in the country since 2010. The Bekaa Valley and Baalbek Carmel districts witnessed heated battles between rival parties running for local elections. 3 people are reported injured. And 8 policemen are shot dead on Cairo's southern outskirts in an attack planned by ISIS, one of its deadliest in mainland Egypt. Those are your headlines for today. I'm Linda Tamim, and I thank you all for watching.
برشيحي برئاسة المجلس البلدي لمدينة بيروت.